What's up, everyone? Welcome down to the vault. And alongside myself and our furry friend Red Rum, I got my partner in crime here, Mr. Walter Morgan. What's up, Walt?
Hey, happening today.
Hero episode. I see you're wearing the shirt.
Yeah, one of my favorite bands from the 80s.
We talk about, from time to time on the episodes on the vault, we talk about the bands that influenced us or talk about the bands that we love. We've done a few so far. And today's we're going to talk about the Scorpions. And what a great band. And for any heavy metal guy that's a heavy metal guy, the Scorpions are in there. I don't care what you say. It's from whatever inception of the Scorpions that you listen to.
It's a long period of time we're talking about.
Definitely. They've been around. I mean, people don't realize 60s, right? Well,
65.
Fuck.
And created by Rudolf Schenker, who actually sang for the first inception of the band until they got Klaus Meine.
Was there any albums done at that time or did they do any recording with?
Well, they did some demos and stuff like that, but they, it started as that, and then they added Klaus Meine and of course Uli Roth a little down the road. But actually, we talk about the Scorpions, and we have to think of two periods, right? Two time periods.
I guess figured the Uli period, or early Scorpions, and then obviously the period with Matthias. And later in the 80s.
Matthias, Jabs, yep.
Matthias.
Well, whatever.
You're American, you say Matthias. It's Matthias. Anyway, we didn't expect him to get that right. Anyway,
no.
You see how he fucks up some of these words sometimes. Anyway, one of all of our favorites, if you were going to go back, one of my first favorite records, I think the first time I even really heard the Scorpions was Tokyo Tapes. Was the live record. I wasn't really turned on to them. They've been around for such a long time. I think it was probably Tokyo Tapes was the first.
And that was probably his last guitar playing, Uli, on that great double album back then, right?
So many great songs on that.
That's right. Well, they started out in 65, but their first real album was Lonesome Crow in 72, Fly to the Rainbow in 74, and In Trance by 75, which changed their sound a little bit. They were a stoner rock band.
Yeah, kind of.
Right?
Well, there wasn't really, it wasn't really like heavy metal, and the guitars weren't really heavy.
In the beginning, it was classic.
Very bluesy, very blues-oriented guitar
spacey
work.
A little.
So the lineup is Francis Buchholz on bass, Herman Rarebell on drums, Uli Roth on guitar, Rudolf Schenker on guitar, and Klaus Meine. Did that stay through the first?
Well, the only people that stays on all albums that are recorded is Rudolf and Klaus.
Right.
But they've switched some members here and there. And in the early days, the classic Scorpion lineup didn't take place. But like I said, then they had Virgin Killer and Taken by Force. So the last three with Uli, In Trance, Virgin Killer, and Taken by Force kind of was changing their sound a bit and getting a little more hard rock orientated, right?
Yeah, definitely.
So,
definitely.
And that's when we started paying attention to them, I should say.
Well, right. The albums for me are like you say, In Trance. I love the Sails of Charon, the song In Trance.
Yes.
Hellcat, Speedy's Coming, any of the stuff, Dark Lady, any of that old stuff with really cool guitar riffing on it and high. Klaus is just singing really high, and the music's kind of aggressive.
Yeah, it gets a little heavier. It gets a little heavier as they go on, but Uli is another one of those guitar players that just has his sound. You can hear him and go, "Wow, that's him."
Well, that's why there's so many guitar players. If you were to talk to the guys,
they love that
Exodus or any of the guitar players from the era that I'm in, everybody bows to Uli, and it was we've been actually.
You got a good story, right?
We were fortunate enough to play with the Scorpions in 2016 at Loud Park in Japan.
That's a big festival, right?
It's the biggest festival in Japan. And it's funny because the Scorpions were on Saturday and Uli Roth happened to be playing the same festival on Sunday. Well, we were playing the Saturday on the same day as the Scorpions, and the speculation was, especially of all of us, you think Uli's going to go up there and jump up there? And it turned out he did, and me and Lee, we had just finished Exodus' set, and we went to the dressing room for a minute, and then I don't know why we went back out. I think we were going to watch Armored Saint or Dawkins or somebody like that. We walked out, and as we're walking out, going towards the stage, walking right towards us is fucking Uli. And so we totally fanboyed him hard. I mean, we just wrangled him and said, Uli, what's up? What's going on, man? I said, oh, hi, how are you? He didn't know who the fuck we were. And it's like, hey, so you play with Scorpions tonight? He's like, yeah. I was like, what are you playing? He's like, shh, no, come on. We're like, come on, In Trance, Sales of Sharon, Virgin Killer. And he's all a song called We'll Burn the Sky. And so I actually videotaped the whole song, and I have it in my phone forever. And it's absolutely amazing because I got to stand really close in the front. They had a section for the bands to stand in the front to watch the show. It was fucking awesome. And that's where I watched Scorpions from, and I recorded it. And his performance that night was just fucking amazing. I mean, it really brought me back because that's such an old song. You know what I mean? It's you know, I mean, like from 75 or 76, you know what I mean? Early Scorpions. So it was cool. Even though it wasn't the one that I wanted to see him play, it was cool. So to kind of get to...
That's great to experience
get
that.
to experience that firsthand. Hey, you know what I mean? Hey, I can fucking
That's
die
some of
now.
the highlights
played
of touring
with this,
there.
exactly. Played with the Scorpions and got to talk to Uli. And I mean, come on. I just piled on that day. But this is a band that is really, even as they've transformed, because I think, and I'm sure a lot of you people do, and you're going to chime in and tell me, I think they were heavier back in the day. If you were to, I would say up to probably maybe Love It for Sting.
Well, we got to go two periods, so you can't really talk about
but
that.
I'm just saying.
77's when they did Taken by Force in the Tokyo tapes. But you can't talk about the Scorpions without throwing this in the Lonesome Crow years in 1972. You know, Rudolph brought in his younger brother, Michael.
Right.
And they actually did a tour, and he was in the band, right? And they did a tour with UFO. And that's when he jumped ship. He got the opportunity, got asked to join UFO. And that's when he made all those classic albums. He was in his prime right there, right?
He sure was.
But that wasn't good for the Scorpions, but they did get Uli right after that.
But Michael came back, remember?
He has.
Yeah. He was on Love Drive.
Right. But they never credited him on any of the royalties. But there's a reason, you know. He'll tell his story. Michael always is going to cry that Coast to Coast and songs. He wrote like 3, but he says he played on them all. But there were 3 guitar players during that time. They had gotten Matthias. And actually, they were going to take off with Michael, and they let Matthias go. And then they went on a tour, and, you know, Michael does his famous disappearing act.
Yes.
So they brought Matthias back and never turned back from that. And that's the formula from 79 Love Drive, because they never gave him any credit at all.
But we know different.
Right. Well, he let you know, too.
Well.
But I read this about Rudolph doesn't comment a lot on, because Michael's real anti-Scorpions because of that, and his younger brother. They have a rift. But Rudolph loves his brother and said, look, the deal was he came to live with me, and I gave him all this equipment and this and that, and it wasn't understood that he wasn't going to get any of the real credit after he left. You know, he just disappeared once, and so they had like an unwritten rule that he wasn't going to get it because he had done so much, gave him some money, gave him some gear, and let him live with him, you know. So what, you know how musicians
So they pulled
are.
his credit from the record?
Well, it sounds like that, and that's what he's been sore at for years. But anyway, from the 79 Love Drive, 80 Animal Magnetism, and those years are like the premier years. That's when they really started shooting
I agree.
up. And right after Animal Magnetism,
Blackout.
they went into Blackout. And what's interesting about Blackout is that Klaus had some vocal issues and some polyps or something, and had it.
Guess who
right?
came in? I know who
Do
came
you
in.
know?
Yeah, I know these things.
Oh, let's hear it
him.
from you then.
I know he came in, and Don Dawkins came in and
Wow.
helped.
And he's on the
helped and he
backgrounds.
actually helped write some of the lyrics too.
And he,
I actually, now to get another story,
Yeah.
we've Exodus over the last few years have played actually on that Scorpions tour at Loud Park. The original Dawkins was on there, so we've actually hung out with Don a few times, and we've actually talked to Don about that.
Wow, because that's really unknown, kind of like, I didn't know it. But he actually is on the album as a background vocalist.
That's right. And that's where he met the producer, Max Norman, to do the Dawkins record. So that's how he came in, and that's where he got the producer to do the first.
When you're writing that, being a vocalist, even if you have to put your vocals that aren't finished yet to the new music, is an important part of writing the song. So Don was there to do some vocals because Klaus couldn't. So he did a lot of the, the prep work to the songs and that album, right? So they played Day on the Green. Were you at that? The Blackout?
With Iron Maiden.
Whew, I caught Michael's.
I
caught Rudolph Shaker's pick at
Foreigner,
that concert.
Loverboy, the Scorpions, and Iron Maiden.
That was a great one. It was a Rat too, wasn't it?
Yeah. No.
That was another one.
That was later. That was later.
I get it.
That was with Metallica. That one and
that one.
Rising Force,
right.
YNT.
So many great shows, Day on the
Greens,
and that was probably one of they were on the Worldwide Live, which is a great live album, by the way, right?
That was for Love It for Sting.
Was it?
When they played with, when they headlined with Rat and
that
Metallica,
was okay. But the one before they were playing Blackout.
Blackout.
Because
that Worldwide Live was for Love It for Sting.
Right.
Which to me had some. It's Rock You Like a Hurricane is the one that made them, pushed them.
Love It for Sting's their biggest album.
Well, that's because MTV played Rock You Like a Hurricane every 10 minutes, and it pushed them over the top. So Worldwide Live was the tour that they did for that record. But then, I mean, I'm going to shoot ahead a little bit. When they did Winds of Change.
That has like 15 million copies sold of that single. I read that. The biggest song for them, isn't that?
And it's the song I hate the most by the Scorpions. So just to be honest with
about
everybody,
the fall
I could give
of
a
Berlin
fuck
and the Wall.
It's a got a great story to it.
Yes.
I have no problem with that. I just don't like wimpy songs like that. It's just wimpy.
But sometimes those wimpy songs are like mega million.
That's great for Mega Millions. As me as a thrasher, and I like it heavy. And if you're going through Exodus's catalog, there are no songs like that. So just pointing that out, people.
Right. And they also have a great Worldwide Live DVD.
The DVD is great.
It's great, isn't it?
Yes,
it follows them around the world.
Yeah, it does.
A song every
meets
country.
with the fans and stuff. It's really cool.
Japan and everything.
I do remember that.
That's a great one.
I do remember that. I did like they did in the early 90s, they had a song called Alien Nation.
That's that was an album, right.
And I thought that was kind of very creepily, eerily heavy when they played that. But if you're going to ask me if I'm going to put Scorpions on.
That was in the 90s, right? So
yes, I'm going to listen to classic Scorpions. Nothing, past.
I'd say Love It First Sting.
Well, exactly. And that's even pushing it. I mean, even because I've heard Blackout so many fucking times and all the songs on that over and over again. I guess my choices would have to be Animal Magnetism and Love Drive and In Trance and, and all of the early records,
Right. And you wouldn't go past Love It First Sting because it's watered down after that,
Very much so.
Or the writing is.
Well, there's a good song, but there's 4 fillers on there, so.
Right. And then there's the producer that came in right at the time when Love Drive came out is Dieter
Dierks.
Dieter Dierks. He's often called the sixth member of the Scorpions because he had a lot to do with them changing their sound. And then, of course, when your producer changes your sound and you skyrocket up the charts, you're going to keep them around for a while. But not in these last 90s. They didn't. They made the switch again. And I think that really hurt their songwriting capabilities.
Well, I mean, if you go to True, I mean, look at what Mutt Lange did for Def Leppard. You know what I mean? So it is true. If you're working with a producer who knows you very, very, very well, I think that chemistry is hard to try to reprint that. It's hard to do. Exodus, since Tempo of the Damned, has worked with Andy Sneap, and we wouldn't even think of anybody else. I mean, it's like he knows us, we know him, we know what we want, he knows how to get it.
Well, they should bring him back anyway.
Why would you fuck
They're on
that
their
up?
Forever tour right now, which is supposed to be the end. But they, these bands, you offer them enough money, they come back, right, Steve?
I have not seen Motley Crue come back, and I'm going to tell you, Walt, it doesn't look like
Well,
Slayer's going to come back.
we've seen what
either.
Vince looks like nowadays, and I don't see that happen. Anyway, the Scorpions have sold over 110 million records, and they've released 18 studio albums.
Wow, they got me beat.
So, but you
By
talk
about
about, we did an Ozzy episode, and this band is follow the same timeline almost. Right?
I would say, and it's a shame, again, that a band like this is not. LL Cool J's in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, but the Scorpions aren't.
Yeah. And you mentioned Uli coming back and playing a little with the Scorpions recently.
And he has over
Right.
a few times if they're playing on the
I
same
think
night.
right before that they played Whack in the year or two before that. And actually
And he-
Michael came back and came out and played. I've seen some videos
See,
of
so
that.
there's not really hard feelings with anybody, you know.
Well, I think they offer him a little money.
Money talks, you know what I mean?
The Scorpions
Well, we'll
money.
do an episode on Michael because to
Yes.
me, Michael, I mean, he's just as equal as an influence, and I'm a singer as a musician, as a hard rock heavy metal musician. To me, than the Scorpions are evenly. I would not put Michael did UFO, Michael did Michael, Scorpions did Scorpions, so I would have to put them very evenly on an even keel, Walt, just because I'm such a I mean, I listened to Michael like 3 days ago. You know what I mean? I think
And I
listened
just
to
saw him
Scorpions
recently. So.
Yeah, I saw that tour, but last year where he had all the singers.
Yes, like
Rob
6
McCullough,
singers.
Gary Barden, Graham Bonnet, and Robin McCauley, and the guy who's singing with him now.
When he does the UFO stuff at the beginning and
played
Scorpion
30
stuff,
songs.
I love it. A little 90s in the middle that is kind of like dragged on a little bit for me for Michael's Into the Arena kind of MSG kind
Love
of thing.
that shit.
You know?
Anyway, we've got to get back to
One
the
last
Scorpions.
thing I will say is that in the new Scorpions lineup, because they've gotten rid of their bass player and drummer, but actually an interesting thing is that in the last few years, it's been Mickey D.
And Mickey's great. We actually
Isn't it that
we
Dawkins kind of
played with Mickey on
Don
that
Dawkins,
show. Yeah.
Mickey D kind of. So the Scorpions have a Don Dawkins, Dawkins kind of, trade.
Well, Mickey D played on the one Don Dawkins record when it was in Dawkins. He
Yeah,
won solo
I love
thing
that
there.
album too.
Yeah. So anyway, you guys leave us your comments on the Scorpions.
What's your favorite album,
What do
right?
you think? And what era did you like the best? You know what I mean? Did you like that stuff? Are you going to go, Zetro, you're full of shit. I like Winds of Change. Go ahead and let me know. Or are you going to say, yeah, you're right, Zet, they suck. Once they started playing watered down shit like that, I didn't listen to them anymore. It's not
think
like you don't
that's
listen
it.
to them anymore. You just don't listen to the new stuff they're doing. You always listen to
But they're always great live too. I've
always.
seen them,
Again,
I
always.
love that band.
That's another thing. The night that we seen him, I mean, Klaus is like in his 70s, Rudy's in his late, so they're probably
Yeah, I think he's
70
70, yeah.
Now, it's like, fuck, they kick ass and look great too.
They've always been known. When we were kids, though, even, we probably picked up on them when Matthias was in the band. But they were always known for having the great live show, and they have always produced
They
that.
deliver.
Yes.
They're very tight, and
See
they're
them
very
now.
good.
They were great. I
They're
saw them.
great. So, anyway, remember to leave me comments and share this. Definitely
I hope
share
you guys like when we go back and do an old iconic metal band, because I think these are fun
These are fun
episodes.
to do. You know, the guys that, influenced us, that still influence us,
It's
Anyway.
who we are.
Subscribe to our channel, and me and Walt will find some new cool band to talk about. Well, not new cool band, some new episode on somebody that influenced us.
Leave
again.
us some comments on who you'd like
Let
us
us
to
know
do.
you want us to
maybe,
riff
huh?
on. Yeah, well,
Well,
we're
we'll
open
pick
to
one in
everybody.
about a
We-
few weeks or something.
Yeah, well, we got to do Michael. We already put that out there,
Oh,
but we
yeah.
can't do Scorpions and Michael, but we will do
MSG. And,
God, Richie Blackmore. There's many to do. Many
yeah.
to do. Anyway, you guys, we'll see you in the vault.